Hello and welcome to Beauty by Jen. If you have or if you haven't been here, welcome either way. In today's video, we will be talking about Cam Newton and his viral podcast alongside Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But before we get into it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are so close to our 8K sub goal, so we would appreciate it if you helped us get there. And every source I will use will be in the description box. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party, but Cam Newton has stirred up considerable discussion following a recent episode of his podcast, Funky Friday, where he discussed his views on marriage and fatherhood with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Cam, who has 8 children with 3 different women, expressed that he wants more children, but is hesitant about marriage due to his fear of divorce. Dr. Bryant challenged Cam's stance, accusing him of selfishly creating broken families by continuing to have children without the commitment of marriage. She pointed out that while Newton might be a present and proactive father, the lack of a stable home environment could still result in negative impacts on his children. This exchange has sparked widespread debate on social media, with many people criticizing Cam's approach to relationships and family life. The conversation between Cam Newton and Dr. Cheyenne Bryant has ignited a significant online debate with opinions divided on Newton's views and lifestyle choices. Many people have expressed strong criticism, particularly on social media. Some have accused Newton of being irresponsible by continuing to father children without a stable family structure through marriage. They argue that his actions could lead to emotional and psychological harm for his children, as they may grow up without a consistent father figure in the household. Others have pointed out that while Newton may be an involved father, the fragmented nature of his family life could result in broken homes. These critics believe that his fear of marriage does not justify the potential negative impact on his children's upbringing. They see Dr. Bryant's comments as a necessary call for accountability, urging Newton to consider the long-term consequences of his actions. On the other hand, some people defend Newton's choices, suggesting that his honesty about his fears and his commitment to being a present father should be respected. They argue that marriage is not a prerequisite for being a good parent, and that Newton should not be judged for his personal decision. Now, the debate reflects broader societal discussions about family structures, the role of marriage, and the responsibilities of parenthood, with Newton serving as a focal point for these issues. Now, I'm going to briefly go through a little of the podcast, and then I'm going to drop some different people's opinion on the matter, and we will close it out. But after watching the video, I would like for you to put your opinions in the comment section. Let me know what you feel about it. I personally would have to agree with Dr. Cheyenne, because I feel like no matter how much money you give a child, I feel like having that many children in that many different homes, you won't be able to spend equal time with all of them. And it will, even though you're giving them, financial stability, you still need to have your parents, both parents around if possible. I'm not saying that having both parents always makes the child grow up to be a successful member of society, but I just feel, and it's just my opinion, that the odds would be better for them with two present functional parents in the home. But I could be wrong. I don't have children as well. And I see on one of his titles, he says that 41, still single, to Dr. Bryant, you know, but I mean, is she right? Should she stay single in order to find someone who doesn't have as many children or no children so they could start fresh? I don't know. It's up to the adults who make those decisions. Like, do you want a man or a woman who has a lot of children with different people already? Or are you going to hold out for that one man or woman who doesn't have children, and no matter how long it takes to make it happen? Or do you feel that if you have a lot of money, it doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, it doesn't matter if you are present in the home or not? Or my dog is going nuts, I apologize. But if you have a lot of money, does that negate you having to be in the household more stably? But I want to know your opinion, so I'm going to get right into the additional videos.
I'm having a hard time to believe a very educated, a very attractive woman out of 41 years have not met Mr. Right. Mm-hmm. That's enough time to find a lot of things out.
I bet.
And yet, no kids, single. I'm not, but I am saying, are women's expectations unrealistic?
No, I'm gonna say, like I said on Nick, the question shouldn't be why isn't a woman of age, of success, of a certain caliber not married with kids? The question should be, why are people rushing to the altar just to become divorcees or baby mamas and baby daddies? I think if anything, we need to be teaching our society, take your time, young man or young woman, so that you can get to know not just this person, but yourself first, so that you can choose a life partner, not that that person isn't exempt to divorce, instead of rushing to the altar just to become a divorcee or a baby mama and have multiple kids by multiple women, just to say you have broken families everywhere. I don't see no benefit in that. I believe, like I tell my brother, he's in here, Shane, all the time, and who's 31 with no kids and doing well for himself, take your time. You don't need to rush to an altar just to divorce this woman. And another thing is, people who actually feel high valued within themselves, not financially, internally they feel high valued. They're not rushing to have a wife or a husband at the expense of divorce just to feel like they've added value to themselves. Because it's a deficit if you're marrying for the wrong purposes. It is an asset if you're marrying from a place of creating a family, of creating stability, of raising kids who can see this thing move and this house not be homeless, but this house have wealth in it, the real wealth that actually sustains. And so for me, I'd rather take my time choosing than end up doing time because I'm making wrong decisions. I'm good.
Say less. Next question. How young are you willing to go?
Ooh, I love that. See, now this is when the conversation gets good.
Come on now. We want to know that.
I'm gonna.
Because, like, look, I told you now.
Listen. Hold on.
Come on.
What?
Because
you going or I'm going? Who going first?
You.
Okay.
I mean, you're the guest.
So I'm willing to, I think, late 20s,
Men, this is where you turn the TV all the way up. Go ahead.
Late 20s would be the youngest.
However, we got to put a number on that, though. Like you, 27, 26.
27-ish.
exes.
But
Okay.
again, it depends on the maturity level of that man.
But this is where, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
But
I
this
knew.
is where
I baited you. I knew where we were going.
your patience has
Be there.
to give him the
100%.
patience to bring his value up, or his function up to his
100%.
value.
100%.
Right.
100%.
But
100%.
so now
100%.
100%
Yeah,
this too.
100%.
A woman who has high value will not entertain or be patient with a guy that does not have
Yeah, especially if she has certain
100%.
100%. She will.
That's-
Especially if she has certain Cam. Especially if she has certain criterions that she knows most men of her age won't meet.
That's
Yes,
what I'm
she has to.
So therefore, I'm telling you,
If
a
that's what
man
she
of high
wants, she has
value
to.
it's a transactional type of thing. So to your point, it's like, I know, I look at you, I look at women all the time. I have a beautiful establishment that we're in right now,
Right.
Fellowship. It garners a consumer that's about their business. This is
Absolutely.
not hookah smoking and standing on couches
Right.
and,
Twerking and
section.
doing
No,
the
no,
most,
it's
right.
not that.
Right.
This is sugar daddy's addy in here. This is businesswoman. No, you need to, we need to get this on right. I see it happen so many times.
Wow.
Dress code. You're not coming here with Jordans and flip-flops. Like you can't do that. You can't disrespect the altitude.
Yeah, the culture of what's here.
You see what I'm saying?
You have all these other houses that are homeless, but you over here at some point when you do get a wife, if you do, I'm saying if that's what you want, you will. You'll get whatever you want. You're trying to create a home. Totally dysfunctional and extremely, that's the epitome of selfish. Epitome of selfish.
So a lot of people see my situation and not think that I'm not high function.
What situation?
See my situation. That's a very vague question, and it's for you
What
to
situation are you referring to that they're looking at and thinking is not high function?
Just my life.
Your life entirely or your life in relationships?
My life.
See, don't deflect. Let's stay here. Your life entirely or your life in relationships?
Both, really.
And they think that you're low functioning.
No, I don't.
You just said people see your life and think you're not high functioning. The opposite of that would be low functioning.
No. Okay, so here you go. You're trying to take my intentions away from this. Can I correct it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or can I give you more?
Yeah, some more information. Heck yeah.
So, I'm not married, right? I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
I didn't do my research. I thought it was 4, but 8. Okay.
No, baby.
Cool.
It's
By how
8.
many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more. Now.
By multiple women? What's the intent?
I just want God
about
to
your
bring
wife?
him. I just want God to bring him.
Oh, okay. And you have, so you just.
Because my point is this. My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you would say it, Dr. Bryant, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time. You're being very action-based.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active, okay? So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent, they are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies, because I can't wait to be a mom, and I love the kids, period. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you thus far. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all, will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. So at what point do you feel the fear, do it anyways? And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior. To say that I am going to create these homes let me go better. I'm gonna build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't gonna create a home in them. I'm gonna wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still gonna be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody who you're spending your life with. And then I'm gonna build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and it's selfish.
Just tell me when I can solve.
Yeah, almost. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're gonna feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box. It's unhealthy. And it's a huge dysfunction within our Black community that I truly believe personally, statistically, mental health-wise, and community-wise, that Black men would stop.
Black men will what?
Stop doing that, that they would stop that dysfunctional behavior of compartmentalizing and creating houses, not homes, and then finally a home with the wife. And then you have all these other houses that are homeless, but you over here at some point when you do get a wife, if you do, I'm saying if that's what you want, you will, you'll get whatever you want, you're trying to create a home. Totally dysfunctional and extremely, that's the epitome of selfish, epitome of selfish. I'm done, you can go for it.
Okay, say less. All right, so what identifies as a broken home?
What you have going on with these, whoever you're not in the house with is a broken home. It's called a blended family. It's called a blended family.
That means?
That the family is blended. So blended
So blended means broken?
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy that you were entertaining, you would go as low as 26.
That I would entertain?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
And as high as what age?
Whatever man that doesn't have kids.
As high as?
Whoever doesn't have kids, whatever age he is with no kids.
No,
that's the age. I'm saying I don't have an age range as far as how old if he has no kids.
So your
he's a
non-negotiable is a person who does not have children?
My non-negotiable is a person with kids, but yes, I get how you're saying it, yes.
So you cannot date a person, you cannot be with a person.
I can, but I'm choosing not to.
So?
I can be with anyone, but I'm choosing not to. I gotta correct it, it's my narrative, Cam.
You're like jumping in, jumping out, it's either.
Cam. No, it's not I can't. There's no such thing. I can date whoever I want. I am definitely well equipped to do so.
Okay.
So I'm not going to allow that word to be something that fits what I can't do. I'm well equipped to date anybody.
Yes.
My preference,
yes.
Because there's nothing wrong with a lot of men who have kids, so I don't want to put that narrative out there.
Yes.
My personal preference is I would not choose to date a man with kids.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're dating a man with kids. Just a scenario.
Oh, okay, got it. Yes.
You're dating a man with kids.
Yes.
So you've identified that that's a broken home from the jump. With your verbiage of blended family means broken.
I've identified that I'm dating a broken man who is creating who he is, because we could teach what we know, we create who we are. And so broken people create brokenness, whether it's through a child, whether it's through a relationship, whether it's through themselves. It doesn't have to be a beautiful baby, but you're creating brokenness. And broken people can come from married households. I'm not saying that a two-parent household can't create the result of a child who then has brokenness and creates broken blended families everywhere. I'm not negating that.
That's not my point.
No, I know, I'm making that point. But yes.
But my point.
My answer is I not only identified that those homes are houses without a home because he's not in them,
Yeah.
but also that he's a broken man.
But you're going to be with a broken man.
No, I won't. I just said I wouldn't be with a man. I wouldn't be with a broken man who has multiple kids. I would take
No, not multiple. I'm
well,
talking,
a kid, it doesn't matter.
So you're not going to date a man with children?
No, but let me clear this up because you said I won't date a broken man. That's not what I said.
No, I said, are you, listen to what I'm saying.
I heard you.
Doc.
Let me answer it. Hold on. We all have a level of brokenness. So will I date a broken man? Yes. Am I going to date a certain type of brokenness? No.
Of course you're not.
And that type of brokenness is a man who has kids outside of me isn't something that's conducive for what I want forever.
But will you date him?
No.
So that goes to my point. I'm trying to ask a question. You have two different men right here. One man who has...
I will not date a man with kids.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yes. I will
But
not.
do you understand, just off of the statistic things, you sharp. I like that.
Oh, thank you, Cam.
I done let you off the hook on numerous times.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just to be obedient. I see, you got your team with you. And I ain't want nobody to feel like, yo, why he came and da-da-da. No, doctor, thank you for your time. But
This is what happens when your cigar goes out?
I'm trying to tell you, I get agitated,
cigar.
long-winded. It took you 16 paragraphs to tell me where you originally was from.
I'm telling you,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed this, though. I
did
really
too.
did. And as we end things here at Funky Friday, it's simple, all right? We understand that you can do a quick analysis of somebody,
Right.
but let's see if you can pay attention and process what I'm telling you that needs to do so we can close.
Let's go. Let's go.
So we're gonna start with this camera right there, and then we're gonna go to this camera right here, and then we're gonna finish with that camera right there.
Can I put some gloss on?
Oh, go on.
You keep the cameras rolling. Hold on.
Yeah,
hold
please
on,
do.
hold on.
Please
Get
do.
this gloss going.
Because I mean, I left so much out there that needed to be said, but I'm just gonna bite my tongue. And it was no pick stone today, though. Was they?
Am I good? Am I good?
Respectfully, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go.
So, 26, you out there, my brother, more power to you. I can't even say 50, no pun intended, but 50 plus, you can't, not that. But as we end things here, Funky Friday, right? We're gonna start right here, then we're gonna go right there, then we're gonna finish right there. And when I say all together, we're gonna say one love. Don't forget the thumb. There we go. All right, when I say all together, what are we gonna say? One love.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right,
I'm ready.
here we go. One finger. We're gonna start with that camera right there. Then we're gonna end with that camera. There we go.
Boy, you don't run this thing. Let's go.
Here we go. One finger.
All right, real quick, if you have not seen the interview with Dr. Bryant and Cam Newton, I highly suggest you go watch it right now. I didn't watch the full interview, but I watched a little 10-minute clip, and I want to share my opinion on it. First off, I'm gonna start by saying this. I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I think Cam Newton possesses a very low level of emotional intelligence. Let's start with saying that. I mean, to me, he just seemed very combative. It seemed as if he was listening to respond. He wasn't even processing what she was saying, because she was saying some real shit. So let's preface with that. But the first takeaway off rip, one thing that I loved, she never said high value man, high value X, Y, and Z. She called it high functioning. Whew. You are either functioning very low or you are functioning at a higher frequency. I love that. Secondly, she went on to explain it when specifically she said women say like, I don't need you. Because us as men, when we hear that, we get very defensive. Like, what you mean you don't need a man? She dove into it, what she meant. She's saying like, I'm saying I'm an independent woman. I'm interdependent. Those are two different things. She don't need that unhealed trauma bonding. She don't need that. She need the healed part of you. But she also has the capacity to deal with the unhealed part of you. That's some deep shit. And then she went on to explain how you can be a hybrid. You can be high functioning and low functioning simultaneously. And that part hit me to my core. And let me tell you why. I love to consider myself a very emotionally intelligent man. And so oftentimes I operate at a high functioning level. But she said oftentimes that high functioning man cannot also be low functioning and meeting that person where she needs to be met. And that's where I suffer with that. Because the moment I see or feel toxicity or a disconnection, I'm out. And for so long, I felt like I'm high functioning, emotionally intelligent. This is the right decision. But nah, she checked me. You have to be able to have a capacity to meet your partner at that low. And if you can only meet somebody at their high, you're gonna have a problem in your relationships connecting at a deep level, because you can only see a person here at their unauthentic self. Oh my fucking God. That's eye-opening. And the last takeaway is I love how respectfully, politely, effectively she held his ass accountable. Because he was saying that, oh, I'm taking my time. I'm not really looking for marriage. I'm not rushing. And then she was like, well, how many kids you got? The nigga said 8. She said, oh, so you compartmentalizing. You choosing when you want to be fast and slow. You choosing when it's convenient for you. So you don't want the marriage and the happy home, but you want to fucking make 8 kids and break homes. Oh, that hurt. But go check it out right now, y'all. It's Dr. Bryant and Cam Newton's podcast. Go check it out. It's life-changing.
I'm not seeing the Cam Newton situation in the interview with that lady. I got it on the screen. I'm not seeing it the same way y'all seeing it. Y'all keep saying, oh, she read him. She ate him up. All I heard was a man who lives in reality and a woman who knows textbook definitions of stupid men. I'm not saying that Cam Newton is smart for what he's doing. I actually, preach against shit like that. I made a video last week saying that the problem with a lot of dating that's going on is the big, tall, rich, handsome guy who make videos talking about, I'll fuck with 4 right now, I don't care. They're the ones who need sexual discipline and they're ruining everything. I agree with that whole premise, right? Cam Newton got 8 kids with 3 women and wants marriage and wants more kids and wooty wooty woo. And the lady talking about, you're not God, you can't do this, you can't do that. But he lives in the reality by which he can, because there's still women, a lot of smart, young, attractive women who will still willingly get pregnant by Cam Newton. So his reality doesn't line up with all her smarts. With every degree she has, she cannot combat that. And that's why when we have these conversations, women get so mad when men try to hold them accountable, because you can't hold Cam Newton accountable. This is one of those situations where it's like, instead of y'all be yelling, like, instead of telling a woman what to wear and where to go, how about we tell grapists to stop graping? You could never do it. I think the grapists know that graping is bad. Telling them to stop, there's literal laws against them. They're not gonna stop. King Von knew murder was illegal. He still did it. Trying to police the villain is crazy. We need to be talking to the women who will willingly get pregnant by a millionaire. Stop it, ladies. Y'all want to get on here with these think pieces talking about, look at how bad these men are, woody woody woo. Half of y'all talking would get pregnant by that man. On purpose. The problem is the women who will still procreate with this man. Y'all get on here, y'all talk about Nick Cannon, y'all talk about all these guys, right? Yeah, he's the guy on top of it who needs to answer for all of it. But why are there still women who will willingly get pregnant by these men? On purpose. Did I ask what? They try and get in his space so that they can get pregnant by him. Baddies, beautiful women, smart women, women who know exactly what they're doing. So you can't tell him that he got this complex and he might be a narcissist and he this and he that and he this, when his reality, all he sees is beautiful young women trying to get pregnant by him. One of y'all are wrong about real life. One of y'all are wrong about real life. As a father, I know it take a lot more than money to raise a child. He got 8 of them talking about he wants some more. But again, there's women who are cool with it. So we can't keep getting on these podcasts, oh, look at how bad of a man this is, look how... Bro, they're being enabled by somebody, and it ain't me. They're being enabled by beautiful young women That's what's going on.
I definitely got to touch on this Cam Newton situation because I was a fan of Cam Newton throughout his whole career. I remember living in Charlotte between 2008 and 2012 when Cam Newton was drafted to the Carolina Panthers. I had every jersey, every nightgown that was Carolina Panthers Cam Newton. So I am a big fan. But let me tell you, that interview with Dr. Bryant was no surprise to me at all. And I'm going to tell you why. So if you didn't know the backstory with Cam Newton and his first baby mama, his baby mama was a stripper in Charlotte. Cam had just been drafted to the Charlotte Panthers. I believe he is younger than her, and she was a single mom to one daughter. So actually, when he first got with her, because he was so fine back then, I'm not a fan of the dreads, but he was so fine back then. I kind of appreciated him getting a single mom out the strip club because I felt like, you know, he don't care what people think. He's doing his own thing. Love is love. Let's proceed. Now, instead of him pulling her from the strip club, which he knew that was her only means of income, she was an exotic dancer. That was her only means of income. She's a single mom. Instead of you pulling her from the strip club and girlfriending her or wifey her up, and putting her through school, letting her become a lawyer, letting her become a doctor, pursue her education. Instead, y'all kept having baby after baby after baby after baby. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, you know you're going to have to financially support this lady for the rest of her life because she didn't go back to school and get advanced education. So my thing is, he is so proud of claiming that it's not a broken home, but it is a broken home because at the end of the day, I don't know if she's moved to Atlanta, but last time I checked, she was in Charlotte with the kids and he was in Atlanta. He opened up a restaurant in Atlanta, got the side chick pregnant while he was still in a relationship with her. The side chick lived upstairs from his Goodfellas restaurant. Still does, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I heard, that's what Atlanta Street says. She still does live upstairs from Goodfellas restaurant for easy access. So that's the second broken home. You wasn't even with her for long. And then here pops up a new girlfriend, Jazzy, and you have a new baby with her. Every relationship does not equate to a baby. You know what that tells me? It screams broken. Now, are other people broken? Are we all broken? Yes, we are. But for you to leave a lady with 4 additional kids besides the one she already had as a single mom and not wife her is not gentleman qualities. That's like some hood rat shit. And then not only that, after y'all break up, you're taking her back into court. Y'all are fighting over electric bills, child support, paternity. It's not effective co-parenting when you're putting your kid's mother through all of that stress, and then you are the one that cheated on her and made a baby on her, end up moving to a whole different city and starting new families. So, you know, at the end of the day, Cam Newton is from Atlanta. I don't know what area of Atlanta he was brought up in, but it's a product of the environment. And just like Dr. Bryant made a point to say, you don't want your son to do the same things that you do or make those choices that you make, and you don't want your daughters to make those same choices too. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love Cam Newton. I love what he's doing now that he's not in his football career anymore. I love that he's pivoted to a podcast. He has a successful Goodfellas restaurant, cigar bar here in prime location. I'm loving everything about it. I'm loving the growth, but I definitely feel like it needs to be a lot of healing in this man. And us as women cannot come in and try to fix broken men unless a man acknowledges that he is broken and needs to be fixed. So that's the first step, is acknowledgement. But that is my take on Cam Newton. I hope all parties work it out and co-parent effectively, because there is nothing in the world I would want to see more than a stressed out mom trying to take care of all those babies and having to keep going back and forth to court over petty nonsense. And obviously he didn't set her up for success. He set her up to be a baby mama. So tell me your thoughts on this. This is my take on it. Let me know what you think.
to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't gonna create a home in them. I'm gonna wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still gonna be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm gonna build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box.
So I have a question about the interview that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant did with Cam Newton. Did y'all either not watch the whole interview or you only cherry pick information as a kind of gotcha? Because it's been very obvious that most of y'all have done one or the other, if not both. Because it's real interesting. I haven't heard anyone talk about this clip.
We try to get you to fit Prince Charming, and the more you don't fit it, the more y'all end up in my office going, but he doesn't do this. Well, has he ever did it? No, but I always just thought my husband would. Your husband or this man? So are you getting to know who you with? Or are you making this man fit this fairy tale ideology that doesn't even exist anyways? And so women come and lead with fit this, or you have no value. Men come in and go, all right, I'm here and I'm going to learn how to be the best I can for you. And then women do what? You're taking too long. You're not getting there because you haven't fit the box of the fairy tale.
Interesting. So for all this talk about how bad Cam Newton is and how black men or men in general are like Cam Newton and causing all these issues, they haven't said much about how women have this fairy tale of how a man is supposed to be and causing their own problems. And then she also said this, which I haven't seen anyone talk about either.
Are women's expectations unrealistic?
No, I'm going to say, like I said on Nick, the question shouldn't be why isn't a woman of age, of success, of a certain caliber not married with kids. The question should be why are people rushing to the altar just to become divorcees or baby mamas and baby daddies? I think if anything, we need to be teaching our society, take your time, young man or young woman, so that you can get to know not just this person, but yourself first, so that you can choose a life partner, not that that person isn't exempt to divorce, instead of rushing to the altar just to become a divorcee or a baby mama and have multiple kids by multiple women, just to say you have broken families everywhere. I don't see no benefit in that.
So regardless of what you may have seen from everyone else talking about this interview, talking about how bad Nick Cannon was or how bad Cam Newton was, her whole point of her interview with both of them, I've watched total of both of them, is to hold everyone accountable in the situations that they cause and they're in. Because as much as the discourse is around why are all these guys having all these kids with all these different women and making all these broken homes, there's no discourse around why are all these women stepping in line to be baby mama number 5, 10, 15, 20, 100. Because if you take the guys out of the equation, if you take Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, these particular guys out of the equation, if these women are still wanting to have kids by men who have any kind of money, they're going to find a guy to get them pregnant. It's not as if it's only an issue with one guy or two guys. Why are these women doing this to making these broken homes? Because accountable as these men need to be, we also need to hold women accountable for basically spreading their seed all over the place just to collect a check.
Nobody asked, but I want to share my thoughts about the interview with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant and Cam Newton. As a licensed therapist, and I'm also a licensed therapist who does a lot of speaking engagements. I'm active on social media, and I do podcast interviews as well. So I want to start this off by saying I really enjoyed the interview. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is very intelligent. She's very articulate. She delivered messages very thoughtfully. And I just enjoyed the message that she gave Cam Newton, because I believe not only Cam Newton needed to hear that, but also a lot of black men. However, I do think it's important to point out that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is not a licensed professional. So she's not a licensed therapist. She's not a licensed psychologist. However, she did go to school and she received her PhD in, I think, counseling psychology or psychology. So she does have educational training in psychology. But becoming licensed is like the extra step, and it has so many requirements. You gain so much experience.
you can just kind of tell by some of the terminology she used that she wasn't licensed, because a lot of clinical professionals will use different terminology in different areas. And that doesn't take away from the information she brought to the interview, but I will say, me as a licensed therapist and many other licensed therapists would not have delivered that message that way, because we are literally governed by a licensing body. We have ethics and things like that. Baby, she was giving very much tough love, and I was like, oh, that was a little mean, but I think he needs to hear that. But as being a professional, I wouldn't have delivered that message that way, because it could do harm. And even if somebody's not your client, you do have to be mindful of how you deliver clinical-like information, especially to the public. So therapists in training, don't get on these podcasts and social media doing that, okay? So with that said, there is a theory within clinical and psychology called the motivation of change. And it's basically motivational interviewing, where you kind of determine if your client is ready to make a change or not. And there's different stages. So there's pre-contemplation, contemplation, prepare, action, and like the maintenance. And it was very clear that Kim was in the pre-contemplation phase. Baby, Kim didn't even think what he was doing was a problem. And as a therapist, we know how to assess that. And when I see people talking about she better than me going back and forth, no, she's even better than a lot of licensed professionals, because once I realized he didn't see that was a problem, I would have changed the subject. We would have went on with the interview, because you cannot convince nobody that what they're doing is a problem if they don't think it's a problem. If they don't think it's a problem, let's focus on another aspect of it. But hopefully she did plant the seed. I don't know. I still don't think he was hearing it. I think he was more defensive than anything. And even from the beginning, he was just like, well, I didn't ask all that. He just seemed like he was just kind of irritated with her from the beginning. Maybe not even irritated. It was just kind of giving a little intimidated. And I think also it's important to acknowledge that a lot of things that she said was her opinion. It was based on her interpretation. It was based on her experience. It wasn't actual clinical knowledge. I think she's very intelligent, and I think she was able to deliver the message in a way that was received, and it may be interpreted as clinical knowledge. For example, when she was talking about broken homes, because Kim was having all these kids with all these different women, two opposite things can be true at once. What Cam is doing is very irresponsible. And just because a parent is not in the household does not mean it's a broken home. There's such thing as blended families. I don't think blended families is a bad thing. Honestly, sometimes relationships don't work out, and it's better to break up and figure out how to co-parent in a healthy way rather than staying in that household and affecting that child that way. I also think it's great that she brought up the topic of being high functioning, which has to do with like emotional regulation, working through your traumas, working through your triggers, not over identifying with your diagnosis or your trauma. That was such a great point, because it's been a lot of talk about being high valued, when being high valued is very material, but being high functioning, baby, that's something that we all need to work towards, okay? And this is my last point, going back to how a lot of it was her opinion based on like her interpretation, her experience. Baby, my sis was on there. She was marketing, okay? She was doing a thing. She was securing her next client, and I'm not mad at her for that, but let's remember that she is a coach, and if you feel like you need more of a coach, that's great, but licensed professionals are different, and we don't do all that in therapy. It's more like collaborative. You know, we meet you where you're at. Coaching kind of pushes you where you want to be, and it can be a little tough love. But my good sis, she did some great marketing, from her nameplate necklace, from when he asked her where she from, and she went ahead and gave her background, how she related everything back to something like psychologically or mental health or trauma-wise. Baby, she did that. And honestly, I'm not sure if I would have taken her approach, but if I'm on a platform like that too, baby, I'm going to be marketing for my private practice Transcend and my other business ventures as well. So if you are in Texas or the Dallas area and you are looking for a licensed therapist, I do have a group practice, and click the link in my bio to submit a new client request. I hope y'all have a good day. Bye.
So I used to really hate whenever people would, make the joke or the running joke that, a lot of black men don't need to be, a lot of these men or just these men on these podcasts be out here talking crazy. So I'm like, hey, I'm one of the few men who have a podcast who don't do that. But I'm really realizing that there's, I always knew there was an element of truth to it. Obviously, I'm joking, but the real reality is, as I'm listening to a lot of these conversations of these men who have these platforms, I'm really realizing that a lot of them don't necessarily possess the emotional or the intellectual bandwidth or even understanding or latitude to even really engage in a lot of the guests that they're actually hosting on there. And they're having these guests come on here, and then in a way, they're not even getting the fullness out of what they can really even get out of these guests, because they don't even have the bandwidth or the even understanding or even willingness to actually engage and really get an understanding. It's like you literally have Jim sitting in front of you, and then you don't even know how to even access it. And it's crazy to me. So it's just very interesting to me to see this repeated scenario. And I feel like we've seen it like with this conversation with Dr. Bryant and Cam Newton, or with Shannon Sharp and Amanda Seales, and like we've seen this same sort of pattern where they get into these conversations, then they end up almost combative with the guest, or they end up almost, the point just completely goes over their head. Or even as I'm watching this conversation with Cam Newton, it's completely frustrating to me, because you are literally asking the same question 50 times. You're sitting there and you're not being combative. And let's talk about that again. A lot of men will sit there and pretend that they're listening, but won't actually really be engaging with what you're saying. They're usually listening just to respond back, to have something to say back to it, right? And to be honest, I'm guilty of this too, even as a man. But thank God, after 9 years of therapy, you learn to work through and realize what that is and what's really actually happening. And I'm realizing that it's not even just a man thing. This is a human being thing. But a lot of us, again, don't have the capacity or the ability to actually listen. Because once we hear something that engages with our cognitive dissonance, or that engages a part with us, that impacts our ego, we shut down and disengage. And that's kind of what you saw even in that conversation, where your body language is almost showing it. Like, where you're there, you're listening, but as soon as she gets finished responding, notice you never respond to anything that she's actually saying. You just keep repeating the same thing over and over, because you can't get off of that point, because that's where your ego got stuck at. So it's just a very interesting thing to me that I just feel like I keep noticing. Again, this is not no shots fired. I'm not trying to be shady, funny, nothing like that. It is genuinely just an observation that I've noticed about my fellow men just in general. Again, it's something that I've had to actively deal with and work on myself. And we'll get into have a conversation around what I really feel like that really is. But I feel like this is something that really needs to be seriously studied, because I don't get it. After watching that conversation, I walked away feeling angry and frustrated. Not only for her, and God bless Dr. Bryant for her poise and her ability to navigate and, I don't know, just engage in that conversation the way that she did. But it just, again, and like I said, I don't mean this as any sort of shade or funniness, or, again, people can take it however they want to take it. I don't really give a damn. But at the end of the day, it is something that we really need to have a deeper conversation around, because, again, there's an inability to actually genuinely listen. And whether that's around your own conditioning around what you feel around women, around your own conditioning around, how you were dealt with your, we'll get into it another time, but I'm frustrated from that conversation.
I'm going to say one thing about that Cam Newton and Nick Cannon interview, and I'm going to leave it at this, because I'm not even trying to make this about no war on black men or nothing like that. I respected everything about that woman and how she handled herself in those conversations, because I couldn't have done it. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be done with it. I really, 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 really wish that was a conversation between two black men. Everything that she did and said was 10 out of 10. Give her 10s, actually. But I just feel like that's a conversation, and I feel like those were things that another black man should have been telling the both of them. And I just hate that conversations like that are oftentimes led by black women, when sometimes it's not received in the same way as them hearing it from a black man. And I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to be done, because I don't got time for the angry black men in my comments. I love y'all, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not even responding to no negativity.